welcome all of you. This is our Selectmen's meeting for April 5, 2016. It is tradition at this meeting to first order of business is to conduct a reorganization before we get into any agenda items. But before we do that, let me invite everyone here who's present to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So at the outset, let me first welcome Mrs. Stronach and congratulate her on her election and welcome her to this table and as a member of the Board of Selectmen. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to you as well, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to thank the board members, the three other board members who are here and one former member for from the past 12 months for giving me the privilege of electing me as their chair. I consider it an honor to earn the confidence of my colleagues, and I'm grateful to each of you for affording me that opportunity and that trust. I believe we have collectively accomplished many positive things for our community, especially in the area of improving our fiscal practices and our financial health. This is the cornerstone for improving many other areas, because without a strong financial foundation, we cannot accomplish other goals and priorities. Together, this board has faced many challenges, and we've done so in a collaborative and professional manner. I believe that the tone is set at the top, and that this board has set a positive tone on many issues. I hope that we can continue that approach and trend, and I challenge each of us to put the greater good of the town and this board above our own personal goals and objectives. So now, as my last act as chair for this year, I'm honored to place Selectman Panelitis' name in nomination for the position of chair. Having worked with Mr. Panelitis over the past 24 months, I've developed a high degree of confidence that he will serve this board well in the capacity as chair, and I'm pleased, hopefully after your vote, to pass the gavel to him tonight. I'm therefore asking if there's a second to my motion.
I'll make a second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. Are there any other nominations to consider for the position of chair? If not, I will ask all those in favor of the motion to nominate Mr. Panelitis as chair to please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I will vote in the affirmative as well. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you very much.
I'll turn this to you, all right? Mrs. Stronach, if you'd like to come up here, I know you're going to be
All right then. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. I hope that I can fulfill this position as at least close to as well as you have over the past several years, and I appreciate the nomination and the board's support. So with that, I will take nominations for the vice chair position.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Mark Kratman as Vice Chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a nomination for Mr. Kratman and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The chair will vote aye as well. It's unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the vote.
And then one more order of business for the reorganization. I'll accept nominations for the position of clerk.
Mr. Chairman, I would be honored to nominate Mrs. Anne Marie Stronach as clerk.
Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Gay with the second. Please, all those in favor of Mrs. Stronach as the clerk, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The chair will vote aye as well. So that is another unanimous vote. Okay, I think we have handled item number 1 on the agenda, so we'll move on to item number 2. We have members of the Town Center Master Plan Committee here. Jonathan, are you going to give the presentation? So would you like to take a seat at the table and then give your name for the record, please? Right up there, that way they'll hear you in the microphone.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I could just inject something, because over the last few weeks, these microphones are somewhat sensitive. It's important you speak directly into the front of them. I know folks at home have had trouble, and some of it is operator usage as opposed to technology.
Well, thank you.
Good evening. Is that okay?
All right.
My name is Jonathan Champa. I am the Vice Chair of the Tewksbury Town Center Master Planning Committee.
Okay, do you want to recognize any members of the committee that are behind you?
Yes. With me are fellow committee members Stephen Johnson, Jackie Stone, Brian Sharon, and yourself, Mr. Panelitis.
All right, so I think the floor is yours for the presentation, please. We had it up on that.
Yeah, it probably just went into sleep mode.
Mr. Montour, do you want to just... I can roll for you if you want. Just tell me when you want me to. See in the seconds when we come back up. Just the right arrow. Just the right arrow? Okay. You tell me when. I will.
Oh, we're high tech now. All right.
Wherever you're comfortable.
Wherever you're comfortable.
It will need to be turned on.
Yeah, you might want to just... Maybe we just go manual.
Go, man.
Okay.
Technology doesn't work.
So just to review the timeline, just to give you a broad overview of where we started and where we got to. Most recently, we had a final session last week. So we began with the formation of the committee, courtesy of the Board of Selectmen in 2013. They chose to form the committee, and I believe in, was it in 2014, the positions were chosen, the committee had its first session, and we spent our first few meetings basically dealing with sort of the big questions. What is the town center? What should be the town center? How can we better define the town center? What sort of experience did we feel the town center could be, should be? A lot of us did research of other aspects of other town centers to try and bring those good elements and see how they could integrate into what we have here in Tewksbury, dealing with our beautiful historic aspects, our difficult and challenging traffic conditions, roadways, et cetera. So we basically, each committee member had a meeting where, or basically presented at the meeting and brought their ideas to the table, and we discussed and basically integrated elements into those, of those presentations into sort of a loosely formed collective of ideas, which we then presented to Mr. Montori as the basis of our RFP, which brings us to 2014. We had enough of an idea of what we wanted to accomplish with the master plan, and we asked the town meeting to appropriate the funds, which they did. And at that point, we sent out an RFP to the consultants. There were 5 consultants that returned proposals to us. And one of the things that I think has worked really well with this committee is we have kept all options on the table for as long as possible. And so since we received 5 proposals, we did 5 sets of interviews and presentations with all 5 members. And then we began a selection process where I believe we narrowed it down to the Cecil Group. We did one final interview meeting with the Cecil Group after they were vetted by, I believe, Mr. Montori or Steve Sadwick. They did the final details of how the RFP would move forward. And we got them on board. We had some meetings with Cecil, and we outlined our ideas as the board, and they started to tell us how they could start getting feedback from the public. We set up a Facebook page, and they started running some online polls, and they scheduled visioning sessions that would come in a timely manner after the word had gotten out that these other elements and ways of communicating ideas were up and running. And so we set a November 12th, September 15th, we had our visioning session at the senior center where members of the committee came in, and we had a series of tables for 8 to 12 people, and people could sit down with markers and stickers and Post-it notes, and basically just, we very strongly encouraged at the meeting, at the visioning session, bring all your ideas out, tell us everything you'd like to see, and just get everything out there for us. We wanted as much public input as possible. We told them no idea was too big, too small, too crazy, too innocuous, nothing. Just we really wanted to get as many ideas out there as we could, because our feeling was that the more ingredients we had to work with, the better final product we would come up with. So we took all of that and worked with Cecil to sort of refine it and, bring some of the ideas together, start to see what stood out with a lot of the residents. And again, not really ruling anything out, but just try to see where the momentum was going. And our consultant, the Cecil Group, took that information and put together a preliminary draft plan, which we then brought back to the residents on November 12th for further input and discussion. And there was, some input, some of it positive, some of it negative. A lot of people are interested in what is going on with the town center, and for better or worse, whether they're coming in the hopes of a change or hoping things don't change, it is clear that a lot of people in Tewksbury feel very passionately about our town center and what it represents. And then from there, basically from November through January and into March, we've spent all of our efforts polishing and refining and getting our draft plan ready for a presentation. So that being said, we are ready to give you a run-through of what we've managed to come up with. So step one was try to define what we would consider as the boundary for our town center, really just for the purposes of the initial stage of the plan. And one thing we've noticed is, or one thing that we've quickly realized is, we have some very dramatic anchor points in the town between the town hall and the church and the library and the senior center. But we felt at first that that would be starting off a little too big, so this was basically the boundary area that we felt was the best starting place and where we could do the most improvements quickly to start to bring some more attention to the area and show that things were starting to improve, and then hopefully it would have a ripple effect that would trickle down 38 towards the library and up towards businesses like Deli King and so forth, that they would see something happening and hopefully become interested themselves and maybe get on board with whatever improvements might be coming along. So from the sessions, we had our resident input. We had the I Want postcards and online surveys. So this was purely open ideas. The residents could basically send us anything and everything that they felt could be done better or would somehow improve our town center or better define it. And those ideas ranged from the type of landscaping that we have, the usages that we could do in a town center, whether it's farmers markets, social cultural activities, things of that nature. So that was quite a bit of input. But we did find that there were a number of ideas that everybody seemed to have fairly in common. So things that we heard from a lot of residents: improved parking, traffic flow, and safety. Basically, the town center right now is, we have a lot of green area. We'd like to have more, but for now we have a nice green area, and it is dominated by the 38 traffic. It's a very automobile-centric area, and even then, once you've taken your automobile to the town center, we don't really have a lot of ways to encourage people to park in one place and then visit and conduct their business in various buildings in the town center. So improved walkways and sidewalks, and then adding other means of getting to the town center, such as pedestrian, bicycle connectivity and infrastructure. And then as we improve the town center, we are very well aware that the fire station is a big issue, and depending on what happens with that, there may be some opportunities there for more green space and more open space that we could do something with. Beautification, one thing we would like to do is, or that the residents would like to see done, is better streetscape and landscape improvements, which again would hopefully create a ripple effect up and down 38, that the businesses would want to beautify their storefronts in an effort to increase that traffic and pedestrian flow. Improved architecture, designated gateways. One of the things that it was an idea that the committee had itself, but was resonated with the residents also, was the idea that when people came to town center, we wanted some sort of gateway or some sort of way of them knowing that they've transitioned from just the business end of 38 into an area that was special and worth exploring. Decorative banners and flags. We'll have some slides showing the types of things you can do with your street lamps and other things to identify things that are going on in the town when you are in the center. So these are some of the ideas. Again, this is almost all residential input or resident input from our fellow citizens in the visioning sessions. Various types of improvements they would like to see to create the town center as a destination, as opposed to just a place that is on a map. So pedestrian and bicycle facilities, connectivity, wayfinding and other signage. Those were some of the main things that we thought would help people not only get there, but get there by various means, and also help them figure out once they're there how to navigate their way around. So one of the things that we think is essential, and the residents echoed this strongly, both positively and negatively, was the traffic issues at the Route 38 Main Street and Pleasant Street intersection. And so what we discovered, and we had a lot of help from the Cecil Group, that it isn't really the number of cars that's the issue. It's just that our signaling and our traffic lanes are very inefficient. The lanes are extraordinarily wide, and that encourages speed. So by narrowing those lanes to what would be standard sizes, increasing multimodal lanes, so we'd have bike lanes, pedestrian access, things like that, with some improved signaling and some turn lanes. So basically, just by really just using the space that we have more intelligently, it will free up. Our hope is that it will free up the traffic and make things run more efficiently. And so even though we may be drawing more cars, and as the town continues to grow, everybody is always concerned about traffic, but some fairly straightforward improvements would actually mitigate or maybe even reduce those issues. And so we spent quite a bit of time reworking that central area, that intersection, and also in an effort to increase multimodal transportation, we have 2 bus stops for the LRTA. They're not particularly inviting, and they're not particularly well located for the area. So we had some suggestions on some modifications to those LRTA bus stops that would hopefully improve another mode of transportation to the town center. So again, this is more of what we were talking about. You'll see here, one of the proposed ideas is reworking the East Street connection to Route 38 and diverting that traffic into a dedicated turn lane onto Route 38. And that would therefore increase some green space. And this will also contribute to some other ideas that we have in terms of shared parking and how we divert cars in and out of the area. And this would also help increase pedestrian safety by reducing the length of the crosswalks and bringing those crossings a little closer together and timing everything properly so people have the right amount of time to cross the streets. Again, these are just pointing out a few of the things. So you can see here a couple of the potential gateway locations, transitional streetscaping up to the gateways. So again, this is an idea that we have that we would like people to feel differently when they come into the town center. We want them to feel like they're somewhere that is above average, or I'm sorry, out of the ordinary is what I meant to say. Out of the ordinary and someplace worth stopping and visiting and exploring, not just waving by and driving through. And I know myself and several of the members of the committee, when we took the time to actually just go and walk around down there, we have a lot of visually interesting and historically interesting things worth exploring between the war memorials and the Helen Keller statue, et cetera. So most people probably are just missing out on that. And so one of our overriding things that we're continually trying to do is bring people to the town center and then let them enjoy the things that are already there, as well as offer new things for them to do. One of the concerns we heard at